I just won in cryptocurrencies, guys. So let me show you exactly what I did where I made 8,343% returns of my money. So what does that really mean, first of all, when you're talking about getting 8,000% returns, unheard of? Let me give you a simple example. If an investor would have just invested $100 in this cryptocurrency that I'm about to talk about, okay, they would have turned that $100 into $4,000. Okay, $4,000. Now imagine if someone had invested 200 or 1,000 or 10,000 or 100,000, the potential of them growing their money. Now, let me put the disclaimer in here. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not trying to tell you what you should do with your money. This is just my personal journey of what I'm doing. So please don't invest in cryptocurrencies because what I say, because it's very, very, very risky business. Now, before I dive in, I had done a video right here where you see where, again, I invested money into Chainlink and it was roughly around 10 cents. And today, well, actually not today, in August 10th, when I cashed out, it was $14, the phase one when I sold. And then the phase two that I sold at 13.80. So from 10 cents to $14, you can see that that is 8,300 and so on percent return, which is crazy. Now, before I get into my video, if you want to go watch this video, it's highly recommended. But I want to show you something else that I just posted it on Facebook. Jim Cramer, right, just bought Bitcoin, guys. Jim Cramer just bought Bitcoin. And so this is a guy that didn't believe in Bitcoin like so many other people, right? They were mouthing the cryptocurrency asset. And now the guy get into it. And another guy I want to show you guys is this guy here, okay? The CEO of JP Morgan, mouthing cryptocurrencies, right? Saying that they're going to fire anyone that uses Bitcoin, etc. And now his firm is a really, really big believer, and they're giving Bitcoin forecasts in the hundreds and thousands of dollars. Okay, I want to show you, for example, what these filthy bankers say and what are they doing underneath the table. Okay, because it's a world of difference. They're telling the public to go right when they know themselves they're going left. And I think that's totally unethical, right? That's totally messed up. But what do you suspect from stinky bankers, the people that are printing money by fiat creation, by what we call deposit money creation? When we deposit, for example, $100, this guy and his corporations can magically create $10,000 and lend it out on interest, for example, and make tons of money, right? Charge all kinds of fees, late fees, monthly fees, enrollment fee, whatever his dear heart can think of, whatever his master goons in the lab can come up with to trick us to steal our wealth away. Okay, through, for example, one of these trickeries these bankers use is mortgages, like debt instruments, and one of the craziest way is amortization. Most people don't realize that when they get a mortgage on their home, the very first few 7 to 10 years that they're making payments on, majority of that payment, let's say their payment's $1,000, 70% of it, 60% of it is going towards interest versus principal reduction. And interest is to just line up this guy's uh, pockets. And I'm not going to play this video for copyright, but you can go listen to him. All you have to do is type into Google, JP Morgan CEO talks down to Bitcoin. You can hear the guy, and then you can type in JP Morgan Bitcoin, and we can actually do it right here, and you can hear all the positive stuff that's happening on top of them created their own uh, coins, guys, through on Ethereum base. So now that's another thing. So now let's go back to the story how I won with cryptocurrencies. The story was back in 2016 and 2017 when I sold some of my real estate, I was looking for something else to get into that wasn't trendy, right? So I got into gold because it was the worst investment ever at that time. No one liked it, right? Everyone was talking shit about it, excuse my language. And I knew that the trend is not my friend. The trend is not my friend. So I didn't want to do what was trendy. At that time, I was introduced to Bitcoin, and it was roughly around $1,000, and I didn't buy. But I benchmarked it in my brain for future references, and then I watched it climb. Okay, I learned about it right around here, right, which was roughly about $1,000, right, somewhere around here. I learned about it, and I started tracking it, and then I watched it go straight up to the moon to almost $20,000. At this time, I put it on my radar to benchmark it, and I told myself, once this sucker starts falling 50%, I'm gonna buy. And here's the thing, guys, I was new to cryptocurrencies. I didn't know anything about it. Like many people, I was saying this thing is a scam, right? But after I investigated, I thought, man, once it goes below 50, I'm gonna buy. And because I didn't understand that cryptocurrencies dive 80%, I started buying when it was 50%, which was right around here, guys, all right? And I got into it right around this lot, which is $11,000. And I bought a decent amount of cryptos. And then guess what? It kept falling, and I bought again, and it kept falling, and it kept falling, and it went all the way to $3,500, guys. Okay, somewhere around here, it was $3,500. And at this time, I was still buying, but now my investments had just evaporated 80%. For example, if I would have just put $10,000 in, my $10,000 had evaporated, for example, to $2,000. Okay, so imagine that if you had put $100,000 in, I would have been out of that 100,000 only $20,000 left. So it was very, very. I don't want to say stressful, but for most people, it would have been stressful. But I wasn't sweating it because I'm going to go down with the ship to zero, or I'm going to moon, right? I'm going to go to the moon, and that's how I play everything in life. Um, some people say your first loss is your best loss. And what I say is, man, when I do my due diligence and I make a decision, I'm like a pit bull. I'm going to crash and burn, or I'm going to fly. I'm not going to give up, all right? And so as it went down, became less and less expensive, the more a believer I became. And I bought at 3,500, and I also bought at $11,000. So when it comes to Bitcoin, I've also won on Bitcoin too because I got a good positioning at 3,500, and I also accumulated all through here, right? Okay. One other way that I got free Bitcoin is Flip, guys. The new Flip is something that I teach you guys to how to make money with just $100 in a real world side hustle that I teach you guys how to create. And whatever I was selling, I was tell people I accept cash or I accept Bitcoin. And there was a handful of customers that did pay me in Bitcoin. For example, they paid me 250 in Bitcoin when Bitcoin was right around $5,000, $6,000. And now that money that I receive has, now it's worth 20 grand. So you can see, being a smart investor, willing to be able to take risks. So what I did is I was very risk averse. I wasn't scared of risk. My belief system, my financial belief system is if something hits that price and it's not, fake, like for example, it's not a tune-up mania, it's actually sound software that liberates the people, and that's what I believe, then I wasn't scared to buy it because I knew that if it hit that top, that it's going to hit it again. The same thing we're seeing right now. See, so there we hit that top, okay, and which is I was 100% right. So not only did I make money on Bitcoin, but I made a shitload of money on Chainlink. And when I got into Chainlink, it was right around this time. It was at the uh, ICO stage, which was, um, it's kind of like an IPO, but you don't have to be a qualified investor or seasoned investor. Anyone could get into it as long as you were willing to take a risk. And I did take a risk, right? I had to it was a lot of steps. It wasn't easy. I had to turn my fiat into Bitcoin, take my Bitcoin, take it to a different, exchange around the world to be able to buy these things in an ICO stage. So I bought it when it was 10 cents. And then I had to wait, guys. I had to wait, and I had to wait like at least 3 years, if not more. And I sold mine right at the very freaking top. And when I sold it, I posted a video about it, I think the same day or a few days later, I can't remember, right around this date. And people said, "Oh, Mike, blah 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 blah," and still to this day, you can see it never hit that top again, guys. So same thing happened with gold. I sold my gold and silver positioning almost at the very, very top of the market. And I knew that, it's going to come back down, right? But do I believe that gold's going to go back up? Absolutely. But I wanted to take some profits. I was already waiting since 20, what is it, 2016, 2017 over here. So, when it hit here, I was ready to take some profits. I mean, damn, I made 8,343% return. So again, if an investor would have invested just $25 with 8,000 plus returns, that means they would have got $1,000. And if an investor would have invested $100, what they would have got would have been $4,000. And if an investor invested 200, they would have got 8,000. They invested 300. You get my point, guys. You get my point. Okay. And the returns on these markets are just crazy, crazy, insane, guys. Okay. It's just crazy, insane. And so are the risks, because it's very, very risky to buy in something that is not trendy, right? It's in the downfall. Like, when I bought Bitcoin, right? When I bought Chainlink, it was over here. It was like it had no value. No one even knew what it was. And the why I bought Chainlink is because with thought presented in his book, as above, as below. I looked at my own body and I noticed that points that are conjunctions, points that are connect things were very important parts of the human body. For example, your joint, your ligaments, your cartilages, they join the muscles, they join the bones, and without that, we wouldn't be able to have mobility, right? And I thought, hey, any kind of platform, any kind of protocol, I should say, that joins different databases, got to be important. And that's why I saw that, you know, I have a chance of making money in Chainlink. I didn't think 8,000%. I was happy with 2x or 3x, right? 5x, 10x, or maybe 100x. I never thought 8,000x, which is crazy. So the way I did the investing is as above as below. I thought about how does my body work? What are the important things as this? Because whatever is this is going to be that as well. And guess what? Chainlink has been a success because it brought together different muscles, different bones together, different databases together to allow things to work or have mobility to move forward. And that's why I was a winner. Now, I cashed out the majority of my positioning. I still own a little Chainlink if it goes to the moon, right? If it goes to $1,000, if it goes to, $100, then I still have that positioning, but majority of my positioning is liquidated, and I have no regrets. I made money. Same thing with Bitcoin. I made money. Now, the funny thing was when it was going down right here, I was telling all my friends and family members, I was like begging them, like, come on, please. I'm not telling them financial advice. I was like, please, guys, buy at least $25 of Bitcoin or $100 of Bitcoin, guys. And I try to persuade everyone. I have like friends and family members in medical school, and I was like, come on, dude, you should. And guess what? No one took me up on that. No one. Only one dude. And that was my brother, and he happened to buy it at 3,500. And just the other day, he was very, very happy. He messaged me and says, "Man, thank you so much, man. I made money." Right? And he bought me like a $400 or $500 GoPro because the amount of money he had made. And out of everyone, and now here's the crazy thing, right? I had given a lot of people Bitcoin for free, like my students that were my profit sharing that we worked one-on-one together. If you're interested in real estate, you may want to go check out my profit sharing. Anyways, I had given so many people free Bitcoin, right? My students and my profit sharing, my sister, my brother, like my family members, and guess what? 90% of these people lost their Bitcoin because with great freedom, great comes great responsibility, and individuals were not responsible because they got something for free, and that's one of the problems is that a lot of us have because information is so available online, but we don't really use it for our success, right? Like if you go to my website, I have all these free resources that I teach people how to do real estate, how to do X, how to be their dreams, how to do Y. But again, very people are willing to take action to be their dream. So the point of the story is people that should have bought Bitcoin, then the ones that got it for free shouldn't got it for free because they lost their Bitcoin. I'm sure a lot of my students have lost their Bitcoins, even though when I give it to them it was maybe like 5,000, 6,000, and today is like 20,000. Um, and the people that took the risk got the reward. As simple as that. And we can see it in the statistics that, just in Bitcoin, we're back at all-time highs again, right? And here's the great thing about cryptocurrencies. A, we're way early. Majority of people don't know about it. B, we now have the richest people in the world, billionaires, becoming the cheerleaders of Bitcoin, right? Which is amazing, right? And you have PayPal's and MicroStrategy and Grayscale and you have all these small Twitter and all these people are now becoming the cheerleaders of Bitcoin, and even stinky bankers are now creating crypto wallets to host people's money. And I don't know why would anyone would trust a banker, but there are people that want that. Okay, now this is the thing: the world is changing, right? The world is changing. We have gone from the Queen and governments being the only people to mint money to having private bankers to mint money, and we saw what this has happened. We saw what happened with when the governments print money. Wars, wars, wars. We've now seen what's happened with banks print money. Still a lot of wars, a lot of corruptions. Only the elite win. The rich get richer, the poor are, going the other direction. That's why you're seeing revolts, marches all over the world from France to Iran, guys, because people are living in poverty thanks to central bankers printing money, to the revolution coming down to the line where Bitcoin is each person's sovereignty, where you're able to become your own bank, where you don't need a bank. Okay, and that's why I believe in cryptocurrencies and especially Bitcoin, is because I could conserve my life energy, because the most important thing is time, and I'm putting time into you guys because I want you guys to win. I'm putting time into myself and my family, and I need to conserve that energy, and I can't do it in a monetary system that they print money like crazy. I can't do it in a monetary system that they're giving funny money. There are so many companies that are just buying other companies because they're getting money for free. I mean, you have 0% interest rate, funny money being printed, and companies are just buying other companies. But the people that are suffering are the people that don't have these assets, that don't have the stocks, that don't have the real estate. Because if you look in Canada, if you look in London, if you look in America, real estate is just boom. And that's all done through manipulation of the central bankers, the printing of the world reserve currency. And it all happened in 1971 when Nixon decided to fund his war, his Vietnam War, with injecting fake paper. Before that, everything was backed on the gold currency. If there was this many gold, there was this many products and services. So that's very important because it was equal, because the gold was represented the products and services. Okay. Today, there we don't have that much product and service, especially with what's going on with Bug 19. But the monetary is just so much more, right? And it doesn't have a true representation of what's happening in real life. And you see it in the stock market, you can see it in the real estate market, where savers are now losers and people that are indebted are what we call billionaires, and everyone wants to be indebted. You see the guy driving a nice car, guess what? He's in debt. You see that investor that has 20 properties, he's talking about, right? I'm buying a home, I'm maybe fixing it a little bit, and I'm refinancing it, and I'm getting into more debt, but I'm taking out 100K, and I have 20 properties, and I've done the same thing, and I've taken out 100K out of each one of them. Therefore, I have $200,000 cash in my banking account, right? But what they're not telling you is for them to get that $200,000 cash in their banking account, they have now over $20 million in debt. But in the mind of that YouTuber or that investor or majority of people in America, because we live in a debt-based society, we think that is the real rich. not understanding that that is not rich. That's if you add the $200,000 that the investor got from refinancing these homes, right? You add all that cash the investor has in their savings, whatever, and you add all the debt out. If it becomes negative, then they're not free. They're not free. And the problem with that is that it causes so much separation of, the haves and the have-nots, which eventually will cause instability in our society, which we are already seeing it with all these movements from France to America, right? Uh, and that's not then that leads into wars, right? That leads into wars, and that's why I like Bitcoin because no government owns it. We don't even know who created it. Um, there's a limited amount, which is very, very important. Imagine living in a deflationary society. Okay, yes, in the beginning it's going to hurt, right? And when people have this fake money or phantom growth that have their 401s like it's going up and their houses is going up, like no one wants to live in a right? Deflationary. But imagine that when you bought this a year ago, it was $5, and as time goes along and humans become more smarter, technology becomes smarter, faster, smaller and smaller and nano, then we can make this for $1 versus $5. But that's a great advancement for humankind. That's a great advancement for you and your family because instead of working so much, to keeping up with the inflation, you don't have to because you're actually building wealth because as technology evolves, the production of goods become less and less and less and less expensive, right? Imagine that, right? Imagine where you didn't have to work 40 hours. Imagine you only have to work one day out of the week, right? Imagine that, right? Because everything's getting less and less because we're evolving. But today we're the other way. As we make better computers, right? As we make better stuff because we have better technology, better factories, better assembly lines, better production of raw materials, better transportation, stuff actually gets more and more. And the reason is this guy here, right? The reason is this JP Morgan guy here and all his friends. The reason is the Federal Reserve. The reason is Big Brother in all these countries, they want to manipulate us to send us to endless wars, to kill our brothers and sisters for nothing, right? For nothing, so they can stay in power. And that's why I'm a believer in Bitcoin. That's why I have won with Bitcoin. And I think this is just the beginning revolution. There's a lot more to come. And I'm super stoked. Now, I'm a big fan of gold and silver, and I'm also a big fan of Bitcoin. And in the very beginning, I wasn't a fan of Bitcoin. And I like to admit when I make a mistake. I come out and I let you guys know I made a mistake. And I won with cryptocurrencies. I won with Chainlink. I won with Bitcoin. And I have a shitload of other cryptos that, what I call shit coins that I'm speculating that they're going to moon. And here's one thing that I've learned, guys, from winning in cryptos is that I don't have to invest a lot of money into all these shit coins because 90% of them are going to go bankrupt. So there were losses that I took, you know, besides the wins, right? So I lost money and I made money. Okay, but at the end of the day, when I added it all up, I made more money than I lost, and so it's a great, amazing day. Even if I had lost money, still be a great, amazing day because I would never invest with money that I didn't have, right? And I never borrow money from a banker. So if I lose, it's my money. It's now leverage money. I don't believe in leverage. I believe in imagination, creativity, and that's what I'm trying to be for you guys, okay, through my YouTube channel. So to summarize it up, what I've learned in cryptocurrencies is that if I just invest 25 bucks, for example, just to simplify it up, 25 bucks or 100 bucks in a bunch of shit coins, some of them will go to zero. Absolutely. But in this case, I've only lost 25 bucks or 100 bucks. But some of them will freaking moon. They will moon 300%, 100%. Some of them will even moon like never before, like 8,000%. Okay. And the ones that moon 100% or 3x or 50x will overcome the ones that I've lost at they went to bankrupt. And the ones that become truly home runners will be the cream of the cream where I just make money. And I never expected it to go that high, right? So what I've learned that yes, cryptocurrencies is risky. Yes, that eating food is risky, that I can get stuck in my throat, I can get food poisoning. But you know what? Life is a risk. We are trained in America and in these civilized countries to not take risks, to work for the man, to go work 80 hours a week, 40 hours a week, take her paycheck, and so on. But as an entrepreneur, as someone that has never had a job, guys, I love taking risks. And if you'd like to learn about some of the opportunities out there of making money, then I highly recommend going to myrealestatedojo.com or mrnoflip.com and downloading my free book on how to flip houses, guys, totally for free. And you can also join me in the Facebook group discussions totally for free. So I see you there. Click the like button. Don't take no for an answer. Much love, guys.